way that we're going to get started, we are going to go with, let's put up a 20-minute timer.
It's time to do.
So the way that we're going to do this, I am going to do a very loose search on Google for different reconnaissance tools, and we're going to see what kind of packages that we're going to find. And then we're going to say, okay, how can we install them and stuff like that. It's probably going to be a lot of stuff in GitHub because there are tons of resources that are available. And a lot of things that exist there, like, let's say they don't make it into Kali Linux. That doesn't mean you can't install additional tools and use it that way. All right. So let's go to, I'm going to go to this screen over here. All right. And I'm just going to go to google.com and we're going to search for, Kali, not Kali. Not Kali. We're going to search for reconnaissance tools. Tools. Let's just search for reconnaissance tools, right? And all right, so reconnaissance. So we already know what reconnaissance is, but we'll do a quick recap for people who might have missed it. So reconnaissance is gathering information. Like when you're doing ethical hacking, when you're doing penetration testing, you need to know your opponent. And see me, I like to put things in a sports lens, where you have to gather information on your opponent. So you might study their game tape. You might look at what they like, their signals that they do and what they do with them. So it's all about gathering information. Let's say, for instance, you're a you're on a basketball team. You're a basketball coach, right? You need to know what the other team, like what their strategy is, and you try to anticipate. So when we're doing reconnaissance for ethical hacking, we are trying to gather information, and because the fact that we're doing it for ethical hacking and penetration testing, we are getting permission from the company or from the person that we're going to be trying to hack. Now, unethical hackers, the black hat, I guess they call them, they're just going to do it. They're just going to do it. They're going to try to get in, So now let's read a little bit about this reconnaissance, right? So reconnaissance tools are used to gather information about a target's digital footprint. These tools can be used for penetration testing, security investigations, and more. So, and then there's passive reconnaissance tools like Shodan, which I've never heard of, but it scans for the internet for open ports, services, and banners. There's Census, scans the internet for open ports, services, so also does that. There's Wireshark, gathers information without directly interacting with the system. OS fingerprinting, a method used to gather information passively. For active reconnaissance tools, there's a tool called Ping, used to interact directly with a computer system. Netcat, used to interact directly with a computer system. There's the OS, because when they had first put OSINT in the chat, I had no idea what they were talking about, but it stands for open source intelligence, right? So there's tools like Google Dorks, uses Google indexing to aid in security investigations. There's the Harvester, which we used last week, gathers information about subdomains, virtual hosts, open ports, and email addresses. I think the Harvester is part of Kali Linux. The Security Trails API provides access to DNS server records, domain details, and IP information. Other reconnaissance tools, there's Maltego, uses graphical analysis to create patterns and connections from information. Nessus, often one of the first steps used when doing reconnaissance. So, we'll probably take a look at Nessus as well. But as it says here, and I said too, reconnaissance is a crucial stage in penetration testing and ethical hacking, because guess what? If you do not know anything about your target, then how can you attack somebody that you don't know, right? Like, if you look at these movies where you have these snipers will learn everything about their target, and they might sit and wait for like days upon days in the same exact spot before they actually make a move, right? So, and inside of GitHub, there's so many different ethical hacking tools inside of GitHub. You see this first one that comes up is from Nate Nate A. Hess, I guess the name is, awesome recon tool. And the reason that I'm going this method is because I don't want to just find some some well-known pre-found tools. I just want to go through the whole process of research. What I learned is the number one thing in tech. You will not survive in tech without this. Everything else can be learned, but this one thing, it's knowing how to research. Because as a software engineer, QA engineer, you will find yourself a good 70% of your time spent is trying to figure out how to do something. If it's possible, what's the best way to get it done? And then the 30% of the time is like actually writing out the code and stuff like that, right? So research. Okay. So let's take a look at this first one, right? Because you will see that we'll have all these different tools available, but I want to go to this GitHub one, right? So we are going to slide into this person's GitHub account. All right, so this one is Recon tools, a compiled list of tools for reconnaissance and footprinting. Right, so domain and networking and network recon. So we're just gonna go through a brief look through this list. I guess these are the different sections that exist in this documentation. But we have domain network recon, so that's here. Tools for grabbing network related information, personal information and email footprinting, tools for finding personal information such as social networks and emails, as well as footprinting tools for mail. Hacking with Google, use Google commands to your advantage. So now we have this section, right? So we have RN, who is RDAP, a public resource that allows users to retrieve information about IP number resources, organizations, and point of contacts registered with ARIN. And this might just be like the regular who is lookup. Aquatone, let's see, a tool for visual inspection of websites across a large amount of hosts. Very convenient for quickly gaining an overview of HTTP-based attack services. I see. So this is a GitHub repo, right? Batch. So let me make a note of the ones that we're going to take a look at. So we'll look at Aquatone. Batch IP Converter, an award-winning network tool to work with IP addresses, domain to IP converter, batch ping, trace route, who is, and that is pretty cool. So you can have a big number of IP addresses and you can pass that as a list, and then it's going to, or a big number of domain names and pass that as a list, and it's going to do a bunch of pinging and who is lookups and stuff like that for you. Built with scans over 46,953 different web technologies. Discover what tools a website uses, such as shopping carts, hosting, analytics, and more. That's pretty cool. Census mines a global internet database to enumerate assets that may compromise an attack service. Datasploit performs automated open source intelligence on a domain, email, username, and finds relevant information from different sources. DNS Dumpster can discover hosts related to a domain. Map an organization's attack surface with a virtual dumpster dive. Let's see. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but let's see this. I've heard of this Maltego. Let's see about this one. Open source intelligence and graphical link analysis tool for gathering and connecting information for investigative tasks. Shodan has servers around the world that crawls the internet 24/7 to provide the latest internet intelligence. Let's see. Wireshark, the world's foremost and widely used network protocol analyzer. Nightjade had suggested that I use Wireshark to make like while I'm making calls with DeepSeek's local LLM, but install locally, to see if there were actually any network calls being made to China while it shouldn't be, because it's running locally. So that's interesting. I didn't do it because it would take too many resources. Like imagine trying to run a virtual machine and a large language model. That would be a nightmare. All right, so Linux CLI tools, we have DNS Recon, check NS records for zone transfer, enumerate general DNS records, DNS tracer. We have Fierce, DNS reconnaissance tool for locating non-contiguous IP space. Ghost Eye, information about gathering data for whois. Let's see, Ronin Recon, recursive recon engine and framework that can enumerate subdomains, DNS, all of that. Programs and web applications. So we have been verified, background checks with loads of information, email tracker pro. Let's see. So I have on my list that we want to check out Sherlock. So we're definitely going to do Sherlock. So let me write down Sherlock over here. Sherlock. Let's see what else we got. So we already checked out the harvester last week. Hacking with Google, cache. This command will show you the cached version of any website. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. All in text. Search for specific text contained on any web page. That's interesting. Let's see. All right, so that is about it. So let's pick a couple of these. It says DBDR says, is there any mention of Nmap? Let me see. Nmap. Not by itself, but they do have Nmap mentioned as a part of Ghost Eye. So let's go back though. Well, before we do that, so I have Sherlock. On my list I have Sherlock and I have Aquatone. Let me duplicate this and let's go back. Actually, no, let me go to GitHub, right? GitHub.com. And look at that. We just slid into my GitHub. Aww. So, you know what? I'll show some stuff in my GitHub during our first break, all right? It'll go with the announcements and stuff like that, right? But but this is pretty much my GitHub. But what I want to do is I want to search for recon tools. All right, let's see what we get with that. And doing this very, very basic search in GitHub, I was able to, I got a whole list of recon tools. Let me search for, before I do that, let me search for Nmap. Let me see what we get from Nmap. So there goes Nmap right here. Network mapper. And as part of GitHub, like the first page is going to have should have a README file which tells you what the repository is about. It says your GitHub is looking slick. Nmap is released under a custom license, but is based on but not fully compatible with GPL v2. The Nmap license allows free usage by any end user, and we also offer commercial license for companies that wish to redistribute Nmap technologies with their products. Installing, ideally you should be able to just do /configure make install. Nmap has a lot of features, but getting started is as easy as running nmap scanme.nmap.org. Running without any parameters will give a helpful list of the most common options, which is discussed in depth in the man page. Users who prefer a graphical interface can use the ZenMap front end. Let's see what the ZenMap front end is. Oh, okay. I hear you. So if you don't want to use it in code, you can always do it using this interface right here. Let's see. And DBDR says that Nmap is installed on Kali Linux by default. Awesome. And here's the thing, that something I saw the other day. Someone asked, can I still do, penetration testing, ethical hacking without Kali Linux? And the answer is yes, because from my understanding, Kali Linux is just a distribution that is built for cybersecurity, for penetration testing, stuff like that. But it's just all that it is. It already has the tools pre-installed, so you can create your own virtual machine and you can install your own like your own tools and stuff like that. The same tools that are on Kali Linux, you can install that on a totally different virtual machine, right? So it's totally possible. Totally possible. All right. Let me see. So let's continue. All right. So what I want to do, so in our first segment, we'll just be looking at some tools, right? So we have Nmap. I'm going to I'm going to duplicate this again. So we'll keep Nmap open. And then maybe the next two segments, we will practice, installing some of this stuff, right? So we're gonna do just recon tools, and we have recon for the win. It's a tool designed to perform automated recon on a target domain by running the best set of tools to perform scanning, and there's more. All right, we have the Iron Master, so Recon NG, open source intelligence gathering tool aimed at reducing the time spent by harvesting information from open sources. So I'll say this, right? So let's see. Auto Recon is a multi-threaded network reconnaissance tool which performs automated enumerations of services. All right, I'm gonna start off with this one because it said automated recon, and that caught my attention because I love automation. I am an automation engineer, so I'm gonna open that one. Let's take a look for Sherlock. Let's see what Sherlock is. Is Sherlock in GitHub? I don't know. Let's find out. So hunt down social media accounts by username across social networks. So let's take a look at this Sherlock over here. So you guys decide. Before we actually get into using these tools, do you want to do Sherlock first? Do you want to do Nmap first, or do you want to do Recon for the win first? I am leaning towards, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Sherlock, but I could also see myself leaning towards Recon for the win because of the automation part of it. So, but you guys decide, what do you want to do first, and then we'll go that way, all right? Let's see what else we got over here. Let's see. Magtor says Recon first. Okay, I hear you, Magtor. I hear you. Natural language event parser for JavaScript. That doesn't sound like one to die for. Let's see what else we got in here. Aircrack engine. So I believe NYCX tool that we're going to be getting into aircrack when we get into the scanning phase, which would be next week. We'll probably get into aircrack next week because in the presentation that I released yesterday, they were talking about aircrack in order for wireless scanning and stuff like that. So we'll probably get into those type of tools as we get more into the scanning phase of things. But that is a great suggestion, I must say. Big Bounty Recon tool utilizes 58 different techniques using various Google Docs and open source tools to expedite the process of initial something. Let's see. But yeah, like basically what I wanted you to see though, that there are tons and tons, like there's 100 pages, right? If we filter by repositories, there's 1.8 thousand or yeah, 1,800 repositories that are dedicated to ethical or reconnaissance tools, right? To reconnaissance tools. So yeah, so there's that, right? So Magnar said, let's get started with Recon first. So we're gonna take a look at this Recon for the win repository, and so let's read it real quick, right? Recon for the win. I'm just guessing it means for the win, but it says automates the entire process of reconnaissance for you. It outputs the work of subdomain enumeration along with various vulnerability checks and obtaining maximum information about your target. Recon for the win uses a lot of techniques: passive brute force, permutations, certificate transparency, source code scraping, analytics, DNS records for subdomain enumeration, which helps you to get the maximum and the most interesting subdomains so that you will be ahead of the competition. It also performs various vulnerability checks like cross-server scripting, open redirects, SSRF, CRLF, LFI, SQLI, SSL test, SCTI, all right, there's way too many acronyms over here, right? It sounds like a bunch of infestation over here, right? DNS zone transfers and much more. Along with these, it performs OSINT techniques, directory fuzzing, dorking, port scanning, screenshots, nuclei, scans on your target. All right, so that is what this one does. All right, so and just in perfect timing. So when we come back from break, we are going to actually install RECON for the win on our virtual machine, and we will continue from there. All right, so let's go to break. All right, there we have it. We are at break. So what I showed you, and the part of pretty much what I really want to show you tonight is it's not what you're only given. It's all right. This is what I know. What can I do with it? Research is so important. All right, and having to know how to find these different tools and how to install them, how to test them out. That is what's going to make a very, very big difference in your career, whether it is in cybersecurity, whether it is in QA.
Internship was all they gave. Flex my skills, dug my own grave. This tech ship's left me stranded in a sea where dreams are banded. Paid 20 grand for a crash course ride. 3-week sprint, now nowhere to hide. Got my resume sharp like a blade, but doors ain't open, I'm stuck in the shade. They promised me gold, but gave me 10. All the gear, but can't get in. Feeling like a ghost with a haunted past. Spent all my cash, now I'm out of gas. Dusty skills and empty thrills. Paid my dues and got the bills. Ghosted by code and left alone. Knocking on doors, but nobody's home. I got the skills to hack their maze, but no one's keen to give me praise. Living on hope and caffeine highs. Tired eyes under cloudy skies. Internship days and unpaid nights. Dreams of jobs and needs.